Hello? Hello? That wasn't too good, was it? Today we're going to talk about low point control. And as you saw there, my low point was horrendous. I struck that ground way too far behind the golf ball. The ball only went, a yard or two in front of me. So what we want to understand here is what exactly is low point and how do we improve it? So what I just demonstrated there was a low point that was too far behind the golf ball. Now there are numerous reasons why this happens. The two most common reasons why I see low point happen too far behind the ball is number one, an open club face at the top of the swing. And number two, the inability for that golfer to actually get to the top of their swing, pressure forward, get ahead of the golf ball, and continue that forward momentum, which will ultimately move that low point forward. So let's talk about that open club face. Now, if a golfer has an open club face at the top of the swing, they are going to be more likely to try and hang back in the downswing because they need to try and square that club face up. So what do I mean by that? Well, let me provide you an example. Let's say I had a weak grip and that's what caused the face to be open. Now remember, I don't know why your club face is open. Could be numerous different reasons. Let's say today I use the grip as an example. So a golfer has a weak grip, which is the lead hand underneath, trail hand on top, let's call it, so that when I get to the top of the swing, you're going to see that club face is wide open. Now, if I was wanting to get my pressure forward, rotate, have some shaft lean, get all that compression or that low point forward with that style of club face at the top, it would kind of look like this. So we get to the top, push forward, start to turn, lean that shaft, but you can see where that club face is aiming, right? You can see it's facing way out to the right. So this is why the golfer can't move to the left or towards the target. So what they do with that open club face at the top is they have to stay behind the golf ball. They have to feel like they cast the golf club, okay, and the club head, so that what you can see here is at impact, we've now got the face pretty square, okay, but unfortunately our weight or our pressure is on the back foot. We don't have any shaft lean, and by moving in this direction here, we're actually going to move the low point behind the golf ball. Now, if you do manage to strike that ball decently, we're going to lack compression and we're likely going to have a very high ball flight. So what we actually need to do is we need to figure out a way to get this face, the club face, in a stronger position coming down, which will then incentivize me to move forward, have some shaft lean and square the face that way. So in this scenario, if this golfer had a weak grip, all we're going to do is we're going to strengthen it. So what we might do is we might strengthen the top hand. We get the top hand a little bit more on top, okay, or sorry, the left hand more on top, and we get the trail hand a little bit more underneath. So now all of a sudden you can see that that club face there is fairly strong. Now, if I went to the extreme on this and I said, well, someone had a really strong face and at impact that was happening. Well, think about it this way. I would not need to hang back. I would not need to cast because now the face is pointing almost at my left ankle. So what I'm going to need to do now is with this strong grip, if my club face is closed at impact, I would have to push forward, I would have to rotate, and I would have to push my hands forward. So now you can see that my face is square. So you can see what a different grip or how different grips relate to how impact works. And you can also see the influence that the club face has in this scenario. So what we're trying to do is create a stronger club face on the way down. So now that we have our club face in a stronger position, we are now able to move that low point more forwards. So now the movement starts to look a little bit different. I get my grip into a much stronger position. I make sure my club face is square on the way back or strong on the way back and to the top of the golf swing. And then it's about me moving forwards, rotating, keeping my pressure moving forward. I hit the ball and I would create a divot in front of the golf ball, and that's how I would move my low point more forwards. So here's a real simple drill you can do. Now, everybody has a towel in their bag or attached to their bag, and we can use this to help train our low point. Okay, so again, first things first, get that club face in a stronger position, and then the next thing is we're going to provide ourselves with a bit of an external training aid, whereby we just place this this towel behind the golf ball. I'm going to use about a hand width, okay, or sorry, a hand length behind the golf ball. I'm going to place this towel right about there, and you can see that gives me plenty of room for me to feel like I've got to get my angle of attack of the golf club working much more down. We miss the towel, we hit ball first, and then we take turf afterwards. So let's give this a shot. I've got my towel, which reminds me to move forwards. I've got my club face in a much stronger position, whether that's through wrist angles or whether that's through a grip change, however you might do it. And what we're going to do is we're going to use those two scenarios or use those two examples so that I can get that low point more ahead. So I'm looking at ball first contact with ground afterwards. Stronger grip, stronger club face most importantly, and that towel behind me is going to give me a nice feeling. So as you can see there, I've created a nice divot where my golf ball was sitting right about there. I actually feel like I hit that maybe a fraction heavy, but nonetheless you can see that that divot was miles in front of the golf ball and it wasn't actually behind the ball, just like this one where we started. Now, as a little bit of a bonus feel to this drill, what you can do is, again, leave that towel there, strengthen the grip, strengthen the club face, but I want you just to place a little bit of pressure on the lead side, just at setup, and try and maintain that pressure there during the entire golf swing. So let's try that again. We get set up, we've got my grip, stronger club face, towel reminding me, but what I'm also going to do here is I'm going to place some pressure in the left. Tilt my upper body back just a little bit. So now I already feel like I'm ahead of the golf ball, and I might just practice some like 1/2 to 3/4 swings with this feel. So I'm going to feel like I turn to the top. I feel like I'm staying on that lead side a little bit more, and that gives me so much more freedom to feel like my low point's going to be ahead of that golf ball. Now you can see on that shot that that was a very clean strike. My golf ball was right about here, and I got that divot in front of the golf ball. So such an easy drill to learn how to move that low point forward. So if you're struggling with hanging back, we've got to ask ourselves, why are we hanging back? And the most common thing that I see is that the club face at the top of the golf swing is open, as opposed to strengthening that grip and getting that club face in a much stronger position, which would then give me some incentive to push forward, turn, lean the shaft, and ultimately get that low point moving forwards.